Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another Solid Academy live stream. My name is Nathan Ingram. I'm the host here at Solid Academy, and it is our December 2024 WordPress News Roundup. Every month, we take a look across the WordPress news landscape for the most important things that affect particularly those of us that are building and managing sites for clients. Glad you've taken a few minutes to join us today. My goal here in the next hour, or probably a little bit less today, is to give you everything you want to know as a WordPress business owner, as the world of WordPress news presses on. Okay, so we're going to start out, as it has been our habit now for the last few months, to deal with the elephant in the room, and that is the recent unpleasantness in WordPress. The entire issues with Matt Mullenweg and Automattic and WP Engine and all those things. It continues to bring great impact to those of us that are doing client work with WordPress. So as is our goal in this particular section, I made a deliberate decision a few months ago when all this started happening that we're not going to cover all the he said, she said, all these little nitpicky things. You've got social media for that. I don't need that noise in my head, and probably you don't either. So these are the most important things that have happened over the last month in that ongoing legal battle. So you need to know that the WP Engine team has expanded their lawsuit against Matt Mullenweg and Automattic. In the middle of the month, in November, they submitted a revised complaint that has increased from the original 62 pages to more than double now, 144 pages in the complaint. They claim that Automattic and Matt Mullenweg have willfully acquired and maintained monopoly power in the WordPress ecosystem. Now, this brings a whole new texture to this issue of it's no longer like a defamation, unfair business practices thing. Now they're alleging a monopoly, and that's a big deal. WP Engine further claims that the WordPress community was misled into believing the software was truly free and open. They argue that Mullenweg has the power to restrict access to WordPress.org, which we've seen happen. This creates what they describe as a choke point in the WordPress ecosystem. So this is a big deal. It's a whole new angle in this lawsuit that could really change WordPress that as we know it. So we'll continue to watch this. The next thing that has happened, and by the way, let me just mention, there's a great link down here that we're relying on as a source for a lot of these Automattic WP Engine stories called The Repository. This is a weekly email newsletter that goes out, which I highly recommend. If you're not on that list, it is very, very good. Therepository.email. Sign up for that. It's a really good source. WP Engine and Automattic have now submitted injunction proposals. So the first court appearance on this issue was a few weeks ago, November the 26th. And during that preliminary injunction hearing, the judge indicated an inclination to grant WP Engine's request for an injunction. Now, an injunction means we want to get some relief from all the things that Automattic and Matt Mullenweg are doing while this case is being adjudicated. However, the judge found that WP Engine's initial proposal was, quote, exceedingly vague. So as a result of that, she ordered both parties to go back and then submit revised, precise proposals by December the 2nd so that the court could make a better informed decision. So WP Engine's proposal was, first, that access be restored. They've asked for an immediate reinstatement of access to WordPress.org resources as they were prior to the elephant entering the room. Also, they have asked for a full recovery of their ACF plugin. As, of course, you're probably aware, the ACF plugin was taken over by Matt Mullenweg and WordPress.org and called Secure Custom Field. So it was a takeover of the plugin slug and all the whole track record of that repository and support tickets and reviews and all those things. So they want that to be reset the way it was before all of this started. They've also asked for removal of publicly shared customer data. This goes to the WordPressEngineTracker.com website that we talked about last month, where somehow they have harvested all of this information about WP Engine customers and made that publicly available as a website, but then also as a downloadable data source. So they want that removed. And finally, barriers imposed by Automattic should be removed within 24 hours of the judge granting the order. Now, Automattic's proposal comes back with very little detail, not at all what the judge asked for. They maintain that WP Engine's requested injunction is unnecessary and overly broad. So they're saying there shouldn't be an injunction, period. That's our position. And if granted, the injunction should be narrow, allowing WP Engine continued access only to publicly available WordPress.org resources, which would probably mean just the WordPress.org API. And not full access to all of the plugin mechanisms and all the things. So that's where it stands. In other news, WordPress community was stunned by the pro version of ACF being released under the Secure Custom Fields plugin label. So WordPress.org has released a forked and nulled version of ACF Pro as secure custom fields, which make premium features that you would have to pay for in ACF Pro freely available in the Secure Custom Fields plugin. Now, the term nulled is it's a term that's used of taking a plugin, a premium plugin that basically phones home and makes sure the licensing works before it works on the website. So nulling means stripping out all of that licensing type code so that everything just works. So a developer has taken the pro version of ACF and stripped out all of that, and now that is the free secure custom fields. This was done by an Automattic developer who submitted the nulled version, which removes all those licensing checks and attribution to WP Engine. It removes all premium pricing barriers, which effectively makes secure custom fields the pro version of ACF, the same thing at no cost to anybody. So this was a controversial move for a number of reasons, as you can imagine, but primarily because it bypassed the standard plugin review process. So this plugin was added to the WordPress plugin directory without going through the plugin review team, which every other plugin has to do. So this has caused clearly some concern. There are questions that are raised around the GPL compliance of this move, ethical implications of forking a premium plugin. Also, this is what's interesting. Automattic has an active legal case in the Netherlands against the Festinger vault for doing basically the same thing. So we'll see how this one shakes out. It is quite interesting. Speaking of the Festinger vault case, they are now fighting back against Automattic. So Festinger vault, if you're not aware of this whole issue, Festinger vault is what's called a GPL club. There are a number of these out there. Festinger vault, probably the largest. It has 50,000 users, and it offers access to over 25,000 premium themes and plugins. So basically, here's what they do. They go out and buy licenses for these premium themes and plugins. They null them, strip out the licensing requirements, put them on their website, and run updates through their website rather than the original developers. There's a legality issue here that may or may not be. It is GPL. It's a battle, right? And so they've been doing this for a long time, and so have others. Now, Automattic has filed suit against Festinger Vault for doing this. And in September, this suit was filed in the Netherlands for trademark infringement and GPL violations that caused the court in the Netherlands to shut down the site temporarily. They also froze assets of the founder, Martin Groot, including his wheelchair accessible accommodations, which sounds just bizarre to me. Later, the Amsterdam District Court found that Automattic may have violated its duty of truthfulness and completeness by withholding critical evidence for the court. So the court was not happy about that. They ordered the unfreezing of some assets and mandated Automattic cover certain legal costs. What's interesting about this case with the WP Engine controversy is that Matt Mullenweg's own statements about GPL compliance in the WP Engine lawsuit and their actions to null the ACF Pro plugin contradict Automattic's legal position in this case. So it's just a big mess. It's just a big mess. Some of us just want to, make a living, and there's all this garbage going on in the background. So the background noise will continue for the foreseeable future, and we'll let you know about the major updates in the recent unpleasantness each month here in the News Roundup. So let's turn the page, shall we, to core WordPress. We did have a release last month and a secondary release, a .1 release. WordPress 6.1, 7.1 was released on November the 21st. This targeted a high priority fix ahead of major online shopping events such as Black Friday. Some users were experiencing a 502 bad gateway error and certain other website disruptions. There was some weirdness in the customizer and some other things. Some image handling improvements were also fixed. There were some issues with the new HEIC image conversion. Also fixed were some translation errors and pattern categorization issues. So we've now updated to 6.7.1 on our sites, haven't seen any more issues, and that seems to be what other folks are experiencing as well. Here's the WordPress release roadmap for 2025. We're expecting the next major version of WordPress 6.8 to drop in April, 6.9 in July, and 7.0 in November. So a 3-release year scheduled for 2025, which seems about right. They were trying to do 4 a year for a while, and it just seemed too fast. All right, let's take a look at some of the work happening in Project Gutenberg. Gutenberg 19.7 dropped on November the 20th. In this release, we have some interesting changes to the site editor in particular. A full global styles panel is now present in the site editor sidebar. So now as you take a look at styles, you can actually see how everything looks with colors and typography and all the things. It's a really nice addition. I like that a lot. They've also added a show template link in the preview dropdown. So if you're on a page or a post in a custom post type or anywhere else a template is involved, you can click the preview option here, and right here you can click show the template. So it's a quick flip over to, okay, here's a page or a post type controlled by a template. I want to view the template. Boom, there it is. Now in the site editor, I can move all that around and edit the template itself. Makes sense. It's good UI. Also, image blocks now have an option to set that image as the featured image of the page or post. So you can click on any image module, and there's now this option to set this over here as the featured image. So, and that's helpful. A lot of times you add an image to a page, and then you have to also add the featured image. This just eliminates a step. Makes sense to me. Gutenberg 19.8 was released last week on December the 4th. They've added a new section that allows you to apply section styles directly in the toolbar. So here's what that looks like. Here in this, this group, so you see you're here in a group block. This allows you to apply a preset design by your theme, a pattern, or it's not a pattern, but a design from your list of theme options right here. So you can click change design and make that whole group look different. It's really nice UI. Also, they've added the ability to preview what fonts look like right from the font dropdown. So over there in the right sidebar, you've got your font selection, and now you'll actually be able to see what those specific fonts look like before you select them. That's kind of nice. Also, they've given us the ability to see, well, not ability, but they've added the ability for snack bar notices to appear when images are being edited on a page. So you crop the image, boom, you'll get that little snack bar notice down at the bottom left, and with a nice little undo link. So snack bar notices are up for several seconds, and if you made a mistake, you can just quick click the undo link and go back to where you were before. So image cropped, image rotated, you get the idea. That's kind of nice. I like that. All right, well, let's talk about security. As usual, lots of security news going on in the WordPress space and beyond. This past month, 459 plugins were found vulnerable. 500 were patched that were vulnerable. 536 plugins still have an active vulnerability or were closed, and 20 theme vulnerabilities. As always, this is the reason to upgrade your sites to Solid Security Pro. That allows you to reduce your site's risk to nearly zero when you use our site scan, version management, and patch stack virtual patching. The beautiful thing is, even if you're not watching your website, If there's a vulnerability that PatchStack is aware of, they add that virtual patch so that even if the plugin is not updated, the attack cannot be instigated by an attacker. So it's really great stuff. A little bit of broader security news. The FBI has warned against texting amid some security risks. So FBI officials are urging Americans to use encrypted messaging following a major cyber attack that targeted U.S. telecom companies and certain government officials. Hackers were able to access metadata and actual audio files of phone calls and texts from a small number of victims. The attacks were performed by a group called Salt Typhoon, which is linked to China's Ministry of Public Security. Now, China has denied all involvement in these cyber attacks. They assert their opposition to all forms of cyber attacks. Text messages are encrypted, and this is really the key takeaway here. When you text from iPhone to iPhone, that's encrypted. When you text from Android to Android, that's encrypted. If you text cross-platform, iPhone to Android or vice versa, those texts are not encrypted, which leads to a potential security risk. So officials suggest that if you're going to do the texting, you should use encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp and Signal. There you go. There are now 30 million cookies for sale on the dark web. Cyber criminals have listed 30 million authentication cookies on dark web marketplaces, enabling bypass of two-factor authentication methods. Now, browser authentication cookies maintain user login sessions. So when you log into a site, it drops a cookie in your browser, and that allows that browser to remain logged in. That's how logins work with websites. If people steal that session cookie, then they're instantly logged in. It doesn't matter if you have a strong password, doesn't matter if you have two-factor authentication in place, because all that's been authenticated, and the cookie is the proof you're authenticated. So that cookie can be stolen by malware on your computer, for example. It's a text file. It's dropped into a big giant zip file out there on the dark web for sale, and an attacker can just drop that cookie into their browser, and boom, they're automatically authenticated on the site that's associated with that cookie. Pretty scary. These cookie grabber tools are being sold for as low as $400 on dark web marketplaces. This is a particularly severe threat because 84% of users targeted by fake shopping websites engage with them. I actually told a story a couple of weeks ago in office hours about how I got almost to the point of checkout on one of these fake websites, and before I realized what was going on, it almost got me. Like, they're really, really good. Also, malicious pages can bypass one-time passwords and 2FA systems. Stolen session cookies allow criminals to complete account access without needing any of your login credentials. So it's a big deal. So some recommended actions that are suggested: implementing passkeys where possible. Solid Security Pro was the first WordPress security plugin to implement passkeys, and it works very, very well. Passkeys provide stronger protection against phishing and social engineering attacks. Also, being especially vigilant during high traffic shopping periods when attacks increase. I still, even after I reported the Facebook ad that led me to the fake website, I've reported that. I keep seeing it, and I've reported it multiple times to Facebook, and they won't take it down. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see. Let's take a look at some news from SolidWP. We have a number of upcoming live events that are free to attend. Our plugin Roundup is coming up on January the 7th. We are, by the way, in our calendar after this week, we're taking a couple of weeks off other than office hours for our members. And of course, all of our free live streams will resume after the first of the year. That starts with Plugin Roundup on January the 7th, News Roundup on January the 14th. As I mentioned in the pre-show, we now have on the calendar our Security Roundup with Thomas Rafe on January the 15th. If you're not familiar with Thomas, he owns We Watch Your Website, and they're watching, I think the last I saw was 18 million WordPress sites. Big data he has, and he's watching all these trends of security around WordPress. And so he's been coming about every quarter and giving us the scoop on what's out there. Looking forward to having my buddy Thomas back on January 15th. This one was also just scheduled. Jen Harries, an accessibility expert, will be with us on January 22nd, talking about performing quick accessibility audits. As I stated several months ago, it's been my goal to start adding at least one accessibility training per month, because that's just an important thing for us to be aware of. So Jen will be back talking accessibility January 22nd. You can register for all those and see any new upcoming live streams right here at this link at academy.solidwp.com. We've had a couple of really good live streams in the last few weeks. Oliver Sild, who is the founder of PatchStack, was with us Thanksgiving week talking about virtual patching and how that works. If you are interested in how the magic of virtual patching works, make sure you check out Oliver's live stream there. Also, we had a great live stream with David Johnson, the product owner of SolidWP, and Timothy Jacobs, the lead developer at SolidWP, where they talked security, backups, and site maintenance. You can view each of those live streams at the links down here in the footer. If you've joined us after the live stream started, I just dropped in our link bundle again in the chat. You can grab today's slides right there. If you're watching this on the replay, it's just below the video. For members, coming up next week is our annual Optimizing Your Starter Site course. Last month, we created our starter site. This month, we're optimizing it. We're going to do a lot of fun things with a site settings page with MetaBox, as well as some fluid typography additions. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's coming up next Tuesday, Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. each day. That's Central Time. Of course, also, if you are a Solid Academy member, that gets you access to me every Thursday afternoon from 1 to 2 Central Time for office hours. We have a lot of fun there. It's a great group. You can ask anything you want. And I try to answer it, or we bring in the hive mind and we try to figure out answers to lots of different kinds of questions. Always my favorite time of the week. If you want to join Solid Academy, I'd invite you to. You can become a member for as low as $199 a year, because Solid Academy Premium is free in any Solid Suite membership. That $199 gets you all the tools and access to Academy Premium, which is a great deal. All right, let's talk about some plugin news. Got a few things we want to talk about. Us here at SolidWP is, of course, part of Stellar WP, and Stellar WP this month has launched Stellar Pay. Now, Stellar Pay is a comprehensive solution for seamlessly integrating Stripe payments into WooCommerce websites. Now, you might say, there's 100 different ways to connect your Stripe account to WooCommerce. And by the way, why wouldn't I just use the WooCommerce official Stripe add-on? Well, the reason is Stellar Pay offers premium features at no cost, like subscriptions and installment payments. So out of the box with the free plugin, you can set up subscriptions on your WooCommerce site and even those installment payments right there. And the other thing I really like about Stellar Pay is that it's not like the WooCommerce payments where it's kind of Stripe, but not really. You don't really get a Stripe interface. It's just all right there in WooCommerce, and sometimes it gets a little wonky. In my experience, this is your actual Stripe account. This connects just like any other Stripe connector, so you can still get into a Stripe account and manage all the things. And it gives you these premium features at no cost. Yes, no subscription plugin is required. It is built into Stellar Pay at no cost. Why are they doing this? Because Stellar Pay is monetized through a partnership with Stripe. So they get a teeny tiny little bit of every transaction that goes across Stellar Pay. Doesn't cost you anymore. You just get the premium features in the plugin. It's really good. There's also beautiful reporting and also dispute management, refund tracking built in. And it just takes a couple of clicks to authenticate your Stripe account. It sets up the webhooks and everything for you. It's pretty amazing. They've done great work on this. And there is, yes, correct, no pro version. This is free. The way Stellar makes money on this is through the incremental teeny tiny percentages they get off of every transaction that's processed, and it doesn't raise your rates at all. This is like an affiliate thing with Stripe where you can become by the way, all the Stripe plugins do this. The WooCommerce Stripe add-on makes the teeny tiny little bit off of each one. We're just giving you a lot of extra free features as a result. Oh, this is a big one. So we missed this original news, but PatchStack posted about this right after News Roundup last month. PatchStack in October organized an event for ethical hackers to clean up the WordPress plugin directory as part of October Cybersecurity Month. This is awesome. I love that they did this. More than 1,500 valid security vulnerability reports were created as part of this initiative, which led to over 1,000 plugins that were already vulnerable and just there in the plugin directory. It identified their vulnerabilities and flagged them so they could be closed until fixed. Critical vulnerabilities ranked 9.8 to 10 on the CVSS scale were found in numerous plugins in the directory that were last updated 6 to 11 years ago. Most affected plugins had fewer than 1,000 active installations, but 2 vulnerable plugins that were found as part of this initiative had over 1 million users. So the cleanup effort paid over $17,000 in bug bounties to 37 ethical hackers who participated, and they worked with the WordPress plugin team to quickly address the vulnerabilities and get those plugins closed. This is great. I love that PatchStack did this. Let's turn the page to some AI news, shall we? ChatGPT search is not quite all that we hoped it would be just yet. ChatGPT, you may be aware, has recently added search functionality that gives some interesting flexibility to its tool, but there are some problems with attributions of the search results. Just be aware of this. I've actually found it to be pretty helpful, but just know that this part is an issue. There was a study done by Columbia University that found that 76.5% of search attributions were erroneous. And this was whether or not the publisher of the article had chosen to allow or block OpenAI's crawler. ChatGPT, what they found, often links to copied articles or syndicated content instead of the original news source, and it can provide inconsistent results when asked identical questions multiple times. You've probably run into this kind of thing. News organizations also have minimal control over how their content appears in ChatGPT search results, which increases concerns about AI's impact on journalism and publisher visibility. So this is an issue. Just be aware as you're using ChatGPT and it goes to search the internet, pay particular attention to those results as they may or may not be fully complete. And hopefully you realize that already. Using ChatGPT for a search engine, it's going to get there. I believe that it will get there. It's just not quite there yet. So just treat everything as suspect until proven otherwise. Here's an interesting AI-powered app that I ran across that I've actually used this. I find it interesting. Smashing app is an AI-powered content discovery platform that curates articles based on your interest that it learns over time. It was created by the founder of Goodreads, which was an app that I used for a long time. It incorporates AI prompts that help you understand all sides of an issue quickly. So basically, you open up an article in the app, and there's some canned prompts that will summarize it for you or help you understand it from a different viewpoint or create timelines if the article is about a certain issue. It's really, really good. And if you want to play around with something, play around with this one. I really, really like this one. It has several categories to choose from to get things started. Just don't let that stop you because the initial categories, there's only several. Just start using it. It will display recommended feeds and topics as it goes, and it sees what you like. It's also going to display a summary of content, and you can engage. There's also engaging with the smashing community, which I don't like too much, but the app itself is quite good. Give it a try. Google has created photo trust features in its Google Photos app. So it's introduced a new transparency feature for AI edited images that will clearly display when generative tools like their Magic editor were used to alter photos and images. So what it does is expand the metadata of an image to track these modifications. Now, yes, if you know what you're doing, you can get rid of image metadata, but the average person is not going to know how to do that. It's a start, at least, on this, which I think is a valid way. This needs to be addressed. AI manipulated images. Images combining multiple photos like their best take features will be specifically labeled. And when tools are like Magic Eraser and Zoom Enhance are used, that will also be noted. It's going to look like this in the app. Down here at the bottom, you get this AI info that tells you what's done to the image. Let's take a quick look at an interesting survey by a hosting company called 20i. About 500 web professionals were surveyed talking about AI and its impact on our industry. See if you resonate with some of these statistics. 84% of web devs they surveyed supported AI regulation. 75% feel like it has improved content quality. I think it has overall. 92% are impressed by AI tools. I certainly do. 39% use it daily, 40% weekly. Pretty amazing. So, that's add up the numbers. 79% use it daily or weekly. Which jobs use AI most frequently? Designers, 51%, developers, 48%, marketers, daily, weekly, copywriters, 48% weekly. Broader here, we get who uses it for code generation, who uses it for copywriting. There's some interesting things here. I'm not going to go into all of the nitty gritty, but it's worth reading and taking a look at some of the findings in this study. Interestingly, 56% of the web developers surveyed have concerns over reliance only on AI. 56% also have concerns over its the ethical misuse of AI. 47% have concerns over how's it going to affect my job. 41% that it might affect creativity. 2% of the people don't care or have no concerns or don't care. Yeah. A little over 500 people in this survey. Let's take a quick look at some other news. A lot of legal news today. The United States Department of Justice wants Google to sell off the Chrome browser. So the U.S. Department of Justice has proposed a breakup of Google's search market monopoly, primarily through selling off its Chrome browser and make it a separate entity. There's also looming in the wings a potential spinoff of Android to a separate company as well, if other competitive measures prove insufficient. New proposed restrictions would also prevent Google from incentivizing device manufacturers from making it the default search choice. So you may have seen this. You buy a new laptop, Google is automatically set as the default search choice. How does that happen? Google sends the laptop manufacturers a nice fat check every year to make sure that they're set as the default search engine. That's the way it goes. The DOJ also demands that websites be allowed to opt out of AI-generated overviews without facing search penalties. I'm not sure how that's technically possible. Also, Google must share search results, ranking signals, and U.S. query data with their competitors for 10 years. That's a hard pill to swallow. Google strongly opposes these measures, as you can imagine, claiming that they threaten American technology leadership globally and calling them wildly overboard. The next step in this matter is a remedies trial that's scheduled for April to determine how to restore market competition. Both the Biden and Trump administrations support antitrust action, suggesting that this may be continued pressure on Google even after the next president takes office. There's a really nice, if you're just catching up on this issue, The Verge has a great timeline right here that gives you all the relevant things that have happened in Google, US v. Google. Interesting. Also, the Corporate Transparency Act has been blocked by a Texas court. So remember, earlier this year, a few months ago, we were all, you got these things we have to complete. The BOI, the beneficial ownership information for companies in the United States. Well, a Texas federal court has blocked the act behind that information, the Corporate Transparency Act, nationwide. The law required 32.6 million businesses to report their beneficial owners to the Treasury Department. The judge ruled that Congress exceeded its authority by requiring all incorporated entities to disclose that information. This was a suit that was brought by a number of small business owners successfully, and they challenged the law's constitutionality. The court determined that Congress cannot use commerce powers to enforce information disclosure to law enforcement. I think that's a win. That's just me. Another bit of legal news. Did you see this one? The U.S. Supreme Court is now TikTok's last hope in their legal battle. A U.S. federal appeals court rejected TikTok's attempt to block a U.S. law requiring its sale or ban by early 2025. The platform's argument about free speech rights for its 170 million U.S. users failed to convince the court. The court instead cited national security concerns related to the Chinese ownership of TikTok. So TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, must now sell TikTok or cease U.S. operations by early 2025. Meta and other social media companies are positioning to capture TikTok's market share, but the complex technical infrastructure behind TikTok's algorithm makes it difficult to replicate. TikTok does plan to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, and yesterday, December the 9th, it asked the Federal Appeals Court to bar enforcement of the ban until the Supreme Court reviews the case. That's the last we know on this issue. It's interesting stuff. Another bit of legal news. We should just call this Legal News Roundup. X, formerly Twitter, now claims ownership of all user accounts. It's not as bad as it sounds, but still. X Corp's recent legal filings challenge ownership rights of social media accounts in an unprecedented way. According to X's latest position, its social media acquisition accounts cannot be transferred during business acquisitions. Now, all this is wrapped up in InfoWars, which is like it was a lot of rumors around political issues type website, right? And they were sued and all that, and they have to sell off their assets. Well, The Onion, which is a parody site, a news parody site, purchased the assets of InfoWars, which includes the X account for InfoWars, okay? Now, X steps up and says, no, you cannot sell this account. X Corp maintains control over account licenses while users only receive non-transferable usage rights. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Standard industry practices typically, though, dictate that social media account transfers can take place during company acquisitions or mergers. X insists that it's not claiming ownership of the content in the accounts, only saying that it controls the accounts themselves. So it does set a precedent for digital asset ownership in business transactions. It's also a great reminder that you don't actually own what you think you own in the digital age. So there you go. There's a lot wrapped up in this. Another bit of other news, Automattic, this just came out a couple of days ago. Automattic has acquired WPAI. Now, I mentioned this to Chris in our agency group chat, and he thought I meant WP All Import, which is the acronym we use for WP All Import in our chats. And so he got really nervous. But no, this is WPAI, which is an AI solutions company founded by James LePage. WPAI has three notable products: Code WP, which is a nice little AI tool for WordPress code development; Agent WP, which handles troubleshooting, maintenance, and security for WordPress inside the WordPress dashboard. It's also quite good. And WP.chat, which is a ChatGPT alternative with plugin-specific modes. Now, the goal here is, I've got an animation issue. There we go. Plans are to integrate advanced API capabilities through this merger into the WordPress ecosystem. So I think this is going to be good news for all of us. Existing WPAI products are going to be sunset and reimagined, whatever that means, under the Automattic umbrella. I wonder if it means there's going to be more Jetpack modules or monetized differently somehow. James LePage, the founder of WPAI, will continue to lead applied API initiatives within Automattic's operation. So there you go. Another interesting acquisition this past month by Automattic was of the Harper app. Now, it's likely you've never heard of Harper. Harper is an open-sourced, privacy-focused grammar checker that's an alternative for Grammarly, for example. It delivers lightning-fast grammar suggestions in under 20 milliseconds, which vastly outperforms its competitors. Under the hood, it works as a language server through WebAssembly. That's a lot of geek language, saying basically it's very versatile technically. The developer of Harper, Elijah Potter, has joined Automattic's team to lead integration efforts across platforms. So we might start to see grammar checking showing up in WordPress, which is pretty interesting, I think. The 2024 Web Almanac is out. If you're not familiar with Web Almanac, it's something every year that the HTTP archive publishes. It basically gives raw statistics and trends among the web community. This is not just a WordPress thing. This is web at large. There was a YouTube event that's probably just about wrapping up now, or maybe within the last hour, where they walked through the Almanac. The link to that YouTube live is here in the footer. Here's a few interesting graphs that I pulled out of this Almanac, things that I found pretty interesting. In their CMS results, look here, WordPress by far the leading CMS on the web, with Wix and Squarespace just barely showing up there. So as it goes to other CMSs, WordPress still the king of the hill. Also, take a look here at the mobile core web vitals comparisons of WordPress versus others. So WordPress still behind both Wix, Drupal, and Squarespace, even Joomla, which is kind of crazy. Getting better. Here was 2023, here's 2024. So the work that the performance team, the core performance team is doing is helping, but we're still far behind others. Also, here's some median lighthouse performance scores, same basic kind of results. Squarespace showing up here, getting better. Again, every platform getting better, but we still have some work to do here. Median lighthouse SEO scores, just out of the box SEO, pretty good. Hasn't changed. Wix, by the way, still the best in out of the box SEO. Pretty interesting. Top 5 page builders used in WordPress. Elementor, by far the king of the hill, with WP Bakery languishing, and then followed by Divi and others. When we look at some e-commerce statistics, this should not be a big shock. WooCommerce, 35.8% of all e-commerce stores out there. Shopify, just under 20%, with Squarespace coming in a distant third. Magento, just a bit under that. Here is the trend of e-commerce. This is interesting. WooCommerce slowly trending down just a little bit versus Shopify, which is gaining that ground. That's certainly a trend to watch. With e-commerce speed, what does that look like? WooCommerce, yeah, not anywhere close to the others. WooCommerce Core Web Vitals have a lot of work to do versus competitors like Shopify and Squarespace Commerce. When we look at some more specific performance features, what does Core Web Vitals look like? So this is the intent of these graphs is to let you take a look at your homepage and see how it compares to the average. So the average homepage Core Web Vitals score is 45% desktop, 38 mobile, and other secondary pages, 61 and 51. That's helpful information. Here's what it looks like when we dig a little deeper. So Core Web Vitals rankings changed this year. In March, Google replaced FID, which is first input delay, with INP, which is interaction to next paint. So this is the used statistic now, and it's a little harder to get, but you can see here as you test your pages what the average is. I think that's pretty helpful. When it comes to web privacy, this is really, really interesting to me. You see the number of deployed trackers has dropped significantly across the year. So that's really good. Here are the people that are tracking you. Google, not a surprise at all. Top 5 trackers with others below that. As far as accessibility goes, some interesting statistics here as well. The median Lighthouse accessibility score, notice, from 2019 to 2024 continues to tick up. That's good news for everybody. The web is becoming more accessible. That's just good news. Also, sites with sufficient color contrast, big bump between 2022 and 2024, a full 7% increase. So things are getting better and better. So I would encourage you to take a deep dive into the Web Almanac. You can really go into a rabbit hole on this, though, so just be aware that you can find yourself falling into a data trap and spending several hours when you don't realize it. It's really good information. Give it a quick look. All right, a few more things that we found that were worth a look. While on the subject of web accessibility, the Search Engine Journal has compared 20 different CMSs and website building platforms for accessibility. You will find their results at that link. It's pretty interesting. Google Search Console has introduced a new feature that gives you optimization suggestions to help increase your visibility in the Google search results. There's an article there in the developer search blog that lets you know how all that works. That's really good news. If you haven't, it should be live for most people now. You may still have a few sites where they're just gradually rolling it out, but most of your sites now probably should have those recommendations. You can take a look at those and how they work at that link. Canonicalization. Try saying that 3 times over again. If you don't know what this is, it's important. This is a great article from Search Engine Land that shows you how to manage duplicate content, streamline indexing, improve crawl efficiency, and more with good canonicalization practices. That's a good skill to know. And then finally, while on the subject of SEO, several key trends in SEO to focus on for 2025. That's a good read. Definitely check that one out. And if you are a developer, if you use Figma, there's a free WordPress design system for Figma that's been developed by Jamie Koster. You can grab it at that link. It's really great for designing internal components. Finally, a lot of WordPressers have moved from X to Blue Sky. If you've never heard of Blue Sky, it's like X, but not toxic. How about that? I probably shouldn't have said that. You get the idea. It's a new social network, and there's a really lot of nice people there. There you go. Last of all, this is a good one. If you ever feel like you just want to scream into the void where nobody can hear you, go to screamintothevoid.com. That's all I'm going to say. There you have it. All right, our final chapter in this month's WordPress news roundup talks about the WordPress community news, and we have a new WordPress executive director. As you were probably aware, the previous executive director, Josepha Hayden-Chamfosi, who served for a number of years, did step away in the buyout offers that Automattic offered. And a new executive director of the WordPress project has been appointed. Her name is Mary Hubbard. She has worked with Automattic in the past. She is now the WordPress executive director. She had her first call, and there's a great link here from the repository talking about that call and what it was like as she engaged with the community officially for the first time. She acknowledged the community's feelings of alienation during the recent unpleasantness and offered a genuine apology during her first call. She identified major challenges that are out there for the WordPress project, including declining event attendance and WordPress commercialization concerns. Now, she does have experience handling difficult situations at TikTok. She was previously the governance executive for TikTok, and hopefully that might help her as she is stepping into a real mess in the WordPress community. She says she plans to maintain regular communication through WordPress.org and social media platforms, and clearly this is a big role at this time in the history of WordPress. So best wishes to her, and I hope that she can start to right the ship. A big event is coming up in April 2025. PressConf is an event designed for professionals who are driving the WordPress economy. It is scheduled for April the 23rd through the 26th in Tempe, Arizona. Now, this is not an official WordPress community event. It is an event for the WordPress community. There's a difference there. It's not sponsored by the foundation. It is not a cheap $50 WordCamp ticket either. It serves as a successor in spirit to an event you may have heard of in the past called Pressnomics, which was a conference that was pivotal for WordPress business professionals that held 6 events between 2012 and 2019. They stopped Pressnomics in 2019. The PressConf team seeks to honor the legacy of Pressnomics while introducing new elements like structured networking sessions. The conference will feature a single track format with invite-only speakers. These presentations will not be recorded or streamed. You got to be there live. So if you are wanting to go, I'm going to be there. I think it's an important investment, and I'm looking forward to PressConf in April 2025. Yes, I am at Nathan Ingram on Blue Sky. I'm not there very much, like at all. I don't think I've posted yet, but I'm out there. I'll start posting. Several upcoming major WordCamps on the calendar. WordCamp Asia in Manila scheduled for February 20th through 22nd. Fun time in the Philippines there. WordCamp Madrid in Spain, March 7th and 8th. WordCamp Nepal, April 4th and 5th. WordCamp EU, which will be in Switzerland this year, June 5th through 7th. And WordCamp US is on the calendar for August 26th through 29th in Portland, Oregon. One last bit of news today. The State of the Word is planned for next Monday. It will broadcast live from Tokyo at 0900 UTC. So you can do the math and figure out where that lands in your world. Matt Mullenweg will be speaking at Tokyo Node Hall to a select group of 300 attendees. Shusai Toda, one of the organizers of WordCamp Asia, highlighted the significance of the event, saying that 82.3% of Japanese websites are powered by WordPress. How about that for a statistic? It's pretty amazing. The address will feature Matt's take on 2024 in retrospective, notable innovations and insights into the future of WordPress. If you're not able to attend, the talk will, of course, be streamed live on YouTube and available after the fact on the official WordPress YouTube channel. All the links are down there in the footer. Well, that brings us to the end of this month's news roundup here on Solid Academy. I'm dropping in the link bundle one more time in the chat. If you came in late and didn't get the slides, click on that link. Otherwise, you can grab it on the replay page. It'll be just down below the video for a little slides link is there. And we'll have this replay up in about an hour on that Solid Academy page. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. There is no live stream tomorrow. I'm back on Thursday for office hours for our members here on Solid Academy, where we go further together.